My name is Cédric Loussen. I am a computer scientist from the University of Lille, and I will talk about an ongoing work on the limits of a state-of-the-art model of glucose homeostasis to investigate the role of intestinal absorption in type 2 diabetes. This is a joint work with colleagues from my lab and from a health science lab at Lille Hospital. Let me start with a quick reminder about type 2 diabetes. In healthy individuals, after a meal, the ingested glucose is sensed by the pancreas that then secretes insulin, which in turn is sensed by the tissues, that is adipose and muscle tissues. In presence of insulin, these tissues absorb blood glucose. In addition, the liver stores and releases glucose when necessary, and the glucose in excess is excreted by the kidney. Type 2 diabetes is a chronic metabolic disease that affects 400 million people. It represents 90% of diabetics. It is characterized both by a weak response of tissues to insulin, which results in a high concentration of glucose in blood, and also by a lack of insulin secretion by the pancreas. Thus, the homeostasis of glucose and insulin is perturbed, and there are today only limited therapeutic solutions. The causes of type 2 diabetes remain hypothetical. However, we know that a high carbohydrate diet and sedentary lifestyle favor insulin resistance. There is a less known hypothesis stating that type 2 diabetes could be caused by an excess of intestinal glucose appearance, that is, a high rate of external glucose appearance. This is this hypothesis that we want to explore. More precisely, we want to know how much impact does glucose intestinal absorption have on type 2 diabetes, and whether or not we can investigate this question with a standard model of glucose-insulin homeostasis. The hypothetical contribution of the intestinal glucose absorption to type 2 diabetes is clinically observed with a surgery called Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. This surgery contributes not only to the weight loss of the patient, which is its main goal, but also quickly restores the glucose-insulin homeostasis of diabetic patients. Here is the anatomical modifications after a gastric surgery in which we bypassed part of the stomach and the small intestine in order to highly reduce the surface of nutrient absorption. François Patou and his colleagues from Lille Hospital collected a dataset of measurements of obese patients before and after gastric bypass. From this dataset, we can plot the average concentrations of glucose after a meal over 3 hours. The glycemia before surgery, in blue, is typical of diabetics. After the surgery, the orange curve, we can see that the glycemia is strongly modulated and gets closer to the non-diabetic glycemia in green. Therefore, the gastric bypass provides an immediate and good restoration of glucose homeostasis. The model that we are considering in this work is a standard model of Dalaman, Riza, and Kobeli in their paper Meal Simulation Model of the Glucose-Insulin System. This model is a system of differential equations made of 12 equations and 36 parameters. These parameters were estimated for a dataset of non-diabetic individuals and from another dataset of diabetic individuals. Thus, two sets of parameter values are given in their paper, but the original dataset are not available. The equations are distributed in 5 biological compartments, each of which corresponds to a specific biological function. We can represent roughly the main interactions model in these ODEs as a graph where the central nodes represent the plasma or blood glucose and insulin. The other nodes represent the compartments. The external source of glucose is naturally the meal, that is absorbed through the gastrointestinal tract. Blood glucose upregulates the secretion of insulin by the pancreas, and the insulin upregulates the uptake of glucose by the tissues. Glucose is produced by the liver and is downregulated both by the increase of plasma glucose and insulin. In this work, to test the predictive power of the ODD model of Dallaman, we address three questions. First, how much does each compartment contribute to glucose-insulin homeostasis restoration? Second, can the model predict our own dataset of diabetic patients? And last, can the model predict the homeostasis restoration after gastric bypass surgery? The first question aims at comparing the compartments in their capability to restore the glucose-insulin homeostasis according to this model. To do so, we proceed by a re-estimation of the parameters of each compartment in turn in order to optimize the glucose dynamics. More precisely, starting from the model instantiated with the diabetic parameters provided by the paper of Dallaman in red, we re-estimated only the parameters of one compartment in order to get as close as possible to the model instantiated with the non-diabetic parameters in green. The result of the gastrointestinal tract is displayed in blue and is quite good. We repeated this procedure for each compartment. If for each compartment we represent the distance between the RC objective model and the best estimated fit, we can compare the performance of each compartment to restore the glycemia from a diabetic state. This roughly corresponds to the expectations. Kidney and liver are quite bad controllers of glycemia. Correcting the lack of insulin secretion by pancreas or the insulin sensitivity by the tissues are good strategies. Improving the absorption dynamics at the level of the gastrointestinal tract is also predicted as a good approach, even though not as efficiently as what is observed clinically. In the second question, we want to know if the model can predict our own dataset of diabetic patients. This time we started with a model instantiated with Dallaman's diabetic parameter values in black to fit the glycemia and insulinemia of our own dataset of diabetic patients in red. We re-estimated all the 36 parameters and obtained in blue a good fit despite of very different diabetic population. Finally, we wanted to know if the model of Dallaman can predict the glucose restoration after the gastric bypass surgery. To do so, we tried to fit our patient dataset of glycemia and insulinemia after the surgery in green from the model instantiated with the parameter values that we previously estimated from our dataset before the surgery, in red. In order to simulate the gastric bypass surgery, we re-estimated only the parameters of the gastrointestinal tract. We obtained the curve in blue with a bad fitting in both cases. The reason for such a bad fitting may be related to non-identifiability issues with the estimation of all parameters of the red curve. That is, there might exist other parameter values that fit equally well the pre-surgery data and from which a simulation of the gastric bypass surgery may perform better. Another reason could be more structural. That is, the intestinal submodel of Dallaman is oversimplified and cannot cope with such anatomical modifications and its subsequent impact on glucose dynamics. It is likely that both reasons explain the bad fitting. As I said in the introduction, This work is a work in progress and we are currently investigating these possible causes. First, we try to increase the parameter identifiability by fitting additional variables available in our dataset. That is a marker of intestinal glucose absorption, that is a D-xylose, and a marker of insulin secretion, that is C-peptide. Second, we will use additional animal datasets from mini pigs before and after other experiments, namely pancreatectomy, small bowel resection, and modulation of obesity. This will provide additional test of robustness of the model. Finally, we will investigate an alternative reaction network-based model of postprandial glucose response, more consistent with our own experimental dataset and more accurate to analyze and understand the role of intestinal glucose absorption in glucose homeostasis. Thank you for your attention, and I'll be pleased to answer your questions.